The sterile hospital lights in San Francisco General seemed too bright as the Sigget's final push brought their son into the world, and Nathan Reed, the man who had offered millions to walk away, clutched Connor's hand like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. But when the nurse placed the tiny bundle in Nathan's arms and the DNA results flashed across the tablet screen, confirming what the clinic's quiet error had hidden, the powerful venture capitalist, who never showed weakness, dropped to his knees, his world shattering in a single breath. 9 months earlier, the same man had sat across from Connor in the penthouse, overlooking the bay, his voice steady, but his eyes betraying years of carefully buried fear. "Connor, I've run every scenario. My family's board is breathing down my neck. Produce an heir, or I lose control of the company my grandfather built from nothing. I can't come out not yet, but I want this child to carry something real. Your strength, your heart. So here's the deal. We hire the best surrogate. Your sample, my name on every paper. $5 million wired the day the baby is born. You live here with me during the pregnancy for appearances if the lawyers ask. But the moment he arrives, you take the money, you disappear to wherever your teaching dreams take you, and you never contact us again. No claims, no visits. It's clean, it's safe. For both of us." Connor had stared at the contract, the pages blurring through sudden tears. He was 27, a high school literature teacher who still paid off student loans and sent money home to his mom in Fresno. Nathan, 44, was the man who had quietly changed his life 2 years ago at a quiet LGBT youth gala. One conversation about banned books had turned into late-night talks about growing up gay in conservative families. One secret weekend in Napa had become 2 years of stolen moments. Connor had fallen hard. Nathan had stayed hidden. "I love you, Nathan," Connor had whispered that night, his voice cracking. "You know that, right?" Nathan had looked away toward the glittering lights of the bridge. "Love doesn't pay the bills or protect the company. $5 million does. Sign it, Ethan. Please." Connor had signed because the alternative was losing Nathan forever and because his mother's medical bills had just doubled. The months that followed were a strange kind of heaven and hell. Mornings, Connor graded papers at the marble kitchen island while the Sigget's checkup reports pinged on Nathan's phone. Evenings, they cooked together simple pasta dinners where Nathan would forget himself and laugh at Connor's terrible dad jokes. They never crossed the line. The contract forbade anything physical, but the air between them grew thicker with every shared glance. Connor's friends at the teacher's lounge noticed he was happier, yet guarded. "You're glowing, man, but you look like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop," his best friend Mia had said one Friday. Connor had only smiled tightly. Nathan's family grew suspicious. His sister Claire flew in from Boston for a surprise visit and raised an eyebrow at the house guest teacher. "Since when do you let strangers stay in the guest wing, Nathan?" He had lied, smoothly calling Connor a consultant for a new education tech investment. Inside, Nathan was unraveling. Every ultrasound photo he pinned to his private study wall felt like both a promise and a goodbye. By month 7, the surrogate was glowing and the nursery was finished in soft grays and blues. Connor had painted a small mural on one wall, a winding storybook road leading to a bright horizon. Nathan had watched him from the doorway, his chest tight. "You're really good at this father thing already," he had said quietly. Connor had wiped paint from his hands and met his eyes. "Too bad I won't get to stick around and prove it." The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. The first contraction hit at 2 in the morning on a foggy October night. Nathan drove the surrogate to the hospital himself, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, while Connor sat in the back seat, holding her hand and whispering encouragement the way only a teacher who loved kids could. In the waiting room, Nathan paced the marble floor, his custom Italian shoes clicking like a metronome. "What if something goes wrong?" he muttered for the 10th time. Connor placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "Then we face it together until the contract says otherwise." Nathan had flinched at the reminder. Labor lasted 14 hours. Connor fetched iced chips, read aloud from a dog-eared copy of The Little Prince, and never once left the Sigget side. Nathan watched from the corner, his billionaire armor cracking with every moan of pain. When the doctor finally announced, "It's a boy, healthy, 7 pounds, 4 ounces," the room erupted in tired cheers. The surrogate smiled exhausted but proud as the nurse placed the baby on her chest for that first golden hour. Nathan stood frozen until Connor gently guided him forward. "Hold your son, Nathan." In that moment, everything shifted. The tiny face scrunched up and let out a cry that cut straight through Nathan's carefully built walls. He took the baby, his large hands trembling, and for the first time in decades, he felt tears burn behind his eyes. Then the pediatrician stepped in with a tablet. Standard protocol for legal surrogacy requires immediate DNA confirmation for the birth certificate and inheritance papers. Results in 20 minutes. Nathan had nodded absently, still staring at the newborn's dark lashes, so like his own mother's. Connor hovered nearby, his heart pounding with the knowledge that in hours he would be packing his bags. The tablet pinged. The doctor's face changed. "Mr. Reed, there's been a lab discrepancy. The sample used was not the one labeled under your name. The biological father is listed here as Connor Blake." Silence crashed over the room. Nathan's head snapped up, his blue eyes wide with disbelief. "That's impossible. We specified." The doctor raised a hand gently. "These things are rare but documented. The backup vials were stored together. A labeling error during the final prep. Legally, the child is still yours by contract, but biologically, he's Mr. Blake's." Connor felt the floor tilt. He had donated as requested, but never dreamed the clinic would switch them. Nathan stared at the baby, then at Connor, then back again. The newborn's chin, the exact replica of the one Connor saw in his own childhood photos, the same slight dimple. Nathan's voice came out hoarse. "He's yours. Really yours." The words hung between them like a live wire. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of paperwork and whispered conversations behind closed doors. The surrogate was discharged with flowers and a generous bonus. Nathan's lawyers arrived in force, urging damage control. "We can fight the DNA in court claim tampering. Your board can never know the biological truth, Nathan. It would be catastrophic." But Nathan barely heard them. He sat in the private recovery suite, cradling the baby he now knew was Connor's son, and every tiny yawn, every soft sigh chipped away at the contract he had once thought ironclad. Connor packed his duffel bag in the guest room, his hands shaking. $5 million waited in an account that could change his life, pay off debts, launch the writing career he had always dreamed of. Yet every time he zipped the bag, he unzipped it again. On the third night, he found Nathan on the balcony overlooking the dark bay, the baby asleep against his chest in a soft blue onesie. "I can't do this, Connor," Nathan said without turning around. "I thought I could buy distance. I thought money would make it easy to let you go. But he has your smile, and I can't look at him without seeing you." Connor stepped closer, the cool night air raising goosebumps on his arms. "The contract is clear. I leave tomorrow. You raise him as the Reed heir. That's what you wanted." Nathan finally turned, his face etched with exhaustion and something rawer. "I wanted an heir. I never wanted to lose you. These 9 months you were here, every morning coffee, every ultrasound, every argument about nursery colors, you became part of this family before he even existed. I was too scared to admit it." They talked until dawn. Nathan confessed the years of hiding from his ultra-conservative Texas roots, the board members who still use slurs behind closed doors, the terror that one photo of them together could tank stock prices. Connor shared his own scars, the small-town parents who had stopped speaking to him a day. He came out the fear that $5 million would buy freedom, but never buy back the man he loved. By sunrise, the baby stirred, and Nathan handed him to Connor without hesitation. "Hold your son." The simple words cracked something open in both of them. The following week was a storm of decisions. Nathan canceled the lawyer's exit strategy. He called an emergency board meeting via video from the nursery, while the baby napped in a bassinet beside him. "I'm taking paternity leave effective immediately, and I'm bringing my partner public. His name is Connor Blake, and he's the biological father of my son." Gasps echoed through the speakers, but Nathan kept his voice steady for the first time in years. Connor stood just off camera, his hand resting on Nathan's shoulder, the silent show of solidarity that said more than any press release. News of the Reed heir surprise exploded across tech blogs and society pages. Headlines screamed everything from billionaire comes out in dramatic fashion to harsher speculation about the surrogacy mix-up. Nathan's sister Claire flew in furious. You threw away everything Grandpa built for what a teacher from Fresno. Nathan met her in the living room, the baby in Connor's arms between them like a shield. I threw away fear, Claire. The company will survive. My son and the man I love won't if I keep hiding. Claire left, slamming the door, but not before the baby's soft coo seemed to soften her expression for a split second. Connor's mother arrived the next weekend, her eyes wide at the penthouse, but warmer than Connor had dared hope. She hugged her grandson, then pulled Connor aside. I was wrong to push you away all those years. Seeing you like this with him, it's clear love isn't the choice I thought it was. The reconciliation came with tears and promises of visits. Nathan watched from the kitchen, a quiet smile on his face, realizing that chosen family was expanding in ways his money could never have purchased. At work, Connor returned to his classroom after a short leave, the students buzzing with curiosity. Mr. Blake, is the baby on the news really yours? One bold sophomore asked. Connor had nodded, smiling. He is, and his other dad is learning right along with me. The honesty felt liberating. Nathan, meanwhile, restructured the company, creating a new diversity initiative that quietly protected employees like him. The internal conflict still raged late at night, when Nathan woke from nightmares of boardroom coups, but Connor was always there, grounding him with a simple hand on his back. One crisp November evening, they took the baby for his first walk in the park. Nathan pushed the stroller, while Connor walked beside him, their fingers brushing. Remember when you said $5 million would make everything clean? Connor asked softly. Nathan stopped, turned, and pulled him into a gentle kiss right there under the streetlights where anyone could see. Nothing about us was ever clean, Connor. It was always messy and real and worth every risk. The baby gurgled happily between them. And for the first time, Nathan laughed out loud, the sound carrying across the bay like a promise. Winter brought new challenges. The board voted to keep Nathan as CEO, but with stricter oversight. Tabloids still circled looking for cracks. Connor's ex from college resurfaced on social media, hinting at old secrets, until Nathan's legal team quietly shut it down. Through it all, the baby Miles, named after Connor's late grandfather, grew chubby and curious, his dark eyes following both men with equal trust. Nathan learned to change diapers at 3 a.m. Connor taught him lullabies from his childhood. Their love deepened in the ordinary moments, grocery runs, pediatrician visits, and quiet evenings where Nathan would read quarterly reports aloud while Connor graded essays, the baby between them on a blanket. One night, after Miles's first fever, Nathan broke down in the rocking chair. I almost lost you both because I was too scared to fight for us. The contract, the money, all of it was me trying to control something that was never meant to be controlled. Connor knelt beside him, wiping away tears. You didn't lose us. You chose us the moment you decided to stay. That's what makes you his father, not any DNA report. The words settled something deep inside Nathan. The next morning, he tore up the original contract in front of Connor and filed new paperwork, naming them both legal fathers with equal rights. Family therapy sessions followed. Nathan's therapist helped him unpack decades of shame. Connor learned to voice his fears instead of swallowing them for the sake of peace. Their gay friends from the old gala circle threw a belated baby shower filled with laughter and stories of their own journeys. For the first time, Nathan felt part of a community, not just a secret corner of it. Miles's first smile came during one of those gatherings, and the room erupted in cheers that felt like victory. Spring arrived with cherry blossoms along the Embarcadero. Nathan proposed properly. This time, no contracts, no money, just a simple platinum ring and the words, "Marry me, and let's raise our son together," out in the open. Connor said yes through happy tears. The wedding was small, just close friends, and both mothers in a sunlit garden overlooking the bay. Miles wore a tiny bow tie and slept through most of the vows. The first year of fatherhood passed in a blur of milestones. Miles took his first steps toward both dads at once. Nathan's company thrived under the new, inclusive policies. Connor published his first children's book inspired by their story. The world slowly moved on from the headlines, but the three of them built something lasting. Sunday mornings became sacred pancakes in the kitchen, laughter echoing off the walls. Nathan still had moments of doubt when old board members whispered, but one look at Connor holding Miles was enough to remind him what mattered. On Miles's first birthday, they stood on the same balcony where the truth had first spilled out. Nathan lifted their son high, watching the bay sparkle. "We almost let fear win, Connor. But this little guy changed everything." Connor wrapped an arm around them both. "He didn't change you, Nathan. He just showed you who you really were all along." The family photo they took that day captured 3 smiling faces and a love no contract could ever contain. Looking back, Nathan realized the clinic's error had been the greatest gift disguised as chaos. It forced him to confront the lie he had lived and choose truth instead. Connor had grown from the insecure young teacher who signed away his rights into a confident partner and father who knew his worth. Together, they proved that family wasn't about bloodlines or boardrooms. It was about showing up every single day. True or false? The family we choose through love is always stronger than the one we're born into.